Hi, good afternoon, guys. So my name is Seet. So I lead the investments for Openspace Ventures. We are a Southeast Asia-focused VC fund that invested about 25 investments across Southeast Asia. So in Indonesia itself, we early invested into Gojek, HelloDoc, and also Credivo. TaniHub is our latest investment this year. So today I'm really excited. We have one of the two hottest and fastest growing startups in Indo this year. So very honored to have on my right here, Pamitra Wineka, CEO and co-founder of Tani Group. And then we have Edward Tirtanata, CEO and co-founder of Kopi Kenangan. So just want to get the panelists to give a quick introduction about what your company does, and also like where the stage of the company you are today.
Kopi Kenangan is the fastest grab-and-go coffee chain in Indonesia and maybe Southeast Asia. We are at 174 outlets at Spur today, and we're opening one per day. And hopefully we'll reach 700 stores by next year.
Okay, so TaniHub helps groups of farmers get connected to B2B buyers like supermarkets, food industries, and other F&B businesses. And we basically work with around 28,000 farmers, or approximately 900 farmer groups. And yeah, we help improve their income by above like 60%, and also help their productivity increase by 30%.
It's amazing numbers. You know, this company is only 2 to 3 years old, and it achieved such a strong growth within such a short time span. We're going to talk about agriculture. It's a sector that contributes. Very old, one of the oldest sector, one of the biggest sector. And I think the problems in the sector itself is also well known, with farmers dealing with transparency, inefficiency on supply chain. Something that I want to get your thoughts, Eka, is also like how do you see the past years, the trends that have changed that gave you the confidence to go and start TaniHub? So how does that help address some of the efficiencies you're seeing in the supply chain itself?
Okay, so basically, the agriculture sector has never really made a big change. So it's always inefficient. There's always so many middlemen in between the farmers and the B2B buyers. The time I saw the opportunity was actually starting from like the government initiatives, like they wanted more and more banks to lend to farmers. Meanwhile, like the banks themselves had no specialty like in agriculture. And also I saw that, penetration, around 3 years ago, I started seeing farmers using like Facebook, Instagram, and like that's when I said, okay, so actually the farmers are pretty tech literate. So I thought that, yes, and their biggest pain is always finding market. So they've always tried to sell things online through Facebook. So I thought that why don't we just make it all into like one platform so that we can just help these farmers aggregate all their products, and then after that connect them to like the channels that are like need their products, and try to increase their income while decreasing the prices of these commodities in the market.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What interesting point you raised there. Like, what are challenges you face when in the early stage of your company, when you sort of talk to the farmers, trying to get them to use a platform, trying to win their trust and credibility? Like, what are some of the challenges that you face in the early days of your?
Yeah. So the biggest challenge of all is just like when when we approach the farmers, and the farmers they always ask us, "Can you buy everything?" Because once I cut my relationship with these middlemen, like they're gone for good. So I'm trusting you with this, and if you don't come back, then I'm really screwed. So eventually, like we had to keep the commitment that we're always going to be there to be the ones helping them to like buy all their products. So that's the biggest challenge. The second challenge is actually aggregating all these smallholder farmers from everywhere, because it's not scalable to like knock on every farmer's door. So we had to work with communities, and from these communities, people in the villages, they always want to be in communities. So once you work with one community, everyone starts joining. So eventually, we didn't need to knock on everyone's door, but they just joined, and because everyone benefited from better prices, right? So actually it just becomes something that everyone just follows automatically.
Understood. Okay. Edward, amazing, fundraising. You got an investment from Sequoia mid this year with 20 million fundraise. I think similar questions that I want to raise to you as well on the B2C front because of your business model. As you can probably get a lot of this feedback is that, coffee is a very commoditized product. It's super competitive, a lot of substitutes in the market. But what really changed your perception that I'm going to go for the market, even though recognizing those are the challenges that you potentially face? Like maybe what are the kind of common observation that you have seen that a new retail strategy that we'll have to address?
So the trend that we were seeing back then was that the rise of online delivery. I realized that, every day I'm a big fan of ordering KFC to Gojek. So realizing that, I realized that the future of food retail is not the disappearance of the offline store, but I see that the future of food retail is that a smaller store, but in a more dense manner. So that's why instead of going for the third home concept in Kopi Kenangan, I decided to go to grab and go model because I believe that what the customers want is actually something that is quick and readily available. So I don't need to be big, I don't need to give seatings. We are usually only 20 to 30 meters square, and that's why we can leverage online delivery to expedite our expansion. We are opening one per day, and so far we don't have a single unprofitable store. In fact, as per today, we are profitable on the company level, and the reason being is because even though I am spraying and praying when I'm expanding, in the case that the store is not performing, I can always blast online delivery to that particular outlet. And usually what happens after the online, after people are more accustomed to order online to that particular store, then the store will instantly become profitable by simply having, leveraging the online order to that particular small store. Ranging from maybe, I don't know, Mangga Dua to Meikarta to Tamrin. So we're everywhere because people is not going to order coffee that is 10 kilometers away. They need their coffee quickly in 10 to 15 minutes away, maybe.
Yeah, amazing. And I think like for your pitch to Sequoia, what do you think is a winning pitch? When you pitch to them, like, is it a brand that you will be able to convey the message that how you're going to build that consumer brand that will differentiate yourself against the competitors? Like what would that winning pitch would that be?
Okay, in terms of branding, for those of you who don't know, Kopi Kenangan, the main product is Kopi Kenangan Mantan, which means memory of my ex. Kenangan manis yang sudah tidak ada, tapi suka muncul tiba-tiba di pikiran. Jadi, back then, most of my friends thought I'm crazy. Who in the world makes a coffee brand based on his ex, right? But then, that is actually a learning point that I got from making my first brand, Lewis and Carroll. When I was making Lewis and Carroll, premium tea house brand, I realized that people are afraid to enter a store if it seems expensive, especially in a market like Indonesia. And then I realized as well that if I want to aim for the mass affordable concept, I cannot sound too expensive. So that is why I created Kopi Kenangan. And then from that first day, we were able to sell 700 cups and we were able to break even in 3 months in the first store. The reason being without a single cent of marketing being spent is because of that branding. So that branding that resonates with most people, I guess most people have an ex, so, and because of that branding, people.
To TaniHub, I think, Eka, you have your own sort of direct consumer brand called Somerville as well. Similar questions for you is how do you think about positioning yourself with all your fresh produce and your fruits, educating consumers about locally buying local produce? Like how do you think about brand positioning?
So for TaniHub, our branding is always like we're trying to get these farmers to able to sell their products. So basically, we've always been pushing that these are products created by the local smallholder farmers. They might be not perfect. Like right now, everyone in the supermarket, when you see like their behavior, they always like check which is like the nicest shape, which is the biggest or most beautiful. But actually, this is the opposite of like the production of smallholder farmers, which since they have limited capital, they always they only have 5 to 10% grade A's. So like for us, when you see a Somerville product, it's a product of smallholder farmers who are trying to night class, like they're trying to get more like access to the market, trying to have a better life, and we're trying to enable that to happen. Maybe not our products are always beautiful, but it's local from like the smallholder farmers. So this is something that we're pushing. We are also pushing like increasing the quality of the brands by giving them funding so that they can buy better seeds, or like they have funding to take care of their mango tree so that the mango tree produces much more and much nicer. But basically, I'm trying to leverage, I mean, there's a lot of people right now, they also buy stories, just like what Ed said. So I see that this is part of like our thing, like our weapon to help these smallholder farmers. Because, or else people, if they don't know the story, they'll say, your mangoes look too small. I don't want to buy them. I should buy from one brand that is industrial scale, But this is an industrial scale. Yeah. They have all the capital, everything to make every fruit look beautiful. Meanwhile, like the smallholder farmers, they don't. So this is why, like our branding wise is towards them.
Yeah, and then I think there's also a large sort of movement to sustainable farming, supporting the local farmers. I think that globally itself, I think we're seeing a lot of that trend. I think Indo itself is just a matter of time before that become a lot more awareness, among the consumer. The other topic I want to talk about is also that there's a lot of time we always compare to China, right? You always get benchmarked to one of the China main players, and then it's almost like you just learn from there, you plug and play, and then modify it, and voila, you have a business model. But of course, in practice, it's not always similar. So I think in TaniHub case, you're always compared to Meichai, and then I guess for Kopi Kenangan guys to Luckin Coffee. Is that comparison helpful, or is that sort of work against your favor? And what are the sort of local consumer behavior that it's local nuances that are very specific to Indo that may not work if you were to just plug and play a China model in Indonesia itself?
So the biggest difference between us and Luckin Coffee is the fact that we're in Indonesia and they're in China. And by that fact alone, China is mostly a tea drinking nation. And that's why if you see their Q3 earning, I think they got a big boost by launching their tea. And whereas Indonesia is actually the 5th largest consumer of coffee. But then one thing about Indonesia, 93% of Indonesian only drink instant coffee, whereas only 7% drinks freshly brewed coffee. The reason why is because there is no affordable option, and that's why I started Kopi Kenangan as well. I mean, if you drink a cup of coffee for 40,000, times it by 30 days, 1.2 million, that is around 30% of your minimum wage. There's no way that an average Indonesian can drink a 40,000 cups of coffee every day. So, looking at that fact alone, looking at our GDP per capita, looking at our minimum wage, that's why I made sure that the price is not, I think Luckin Coffee tries to be 30% cheaper than Starbucks, whereas we are actually around 60% cheaper than Starbucks, because I believe that is the price point where people can drink the coffee every day. And then the biggest difference between us and Luckin Coffee, I believe they do delivery through their own app, whereas our online delivery goes through Gojek and Grab. Reason being why? Because I believe if you try to do delivery for something that is cheap, coffee is $1.5 ASP, then if you have to spend $0.8 for delivery, there's no way you can make money, and there's no way the customer will pay for it. Whereas if you go to Gojek or Grab, that is usually on a commission basis, on a commission of say even 20 to 30%, 20% of $1.5 ASP, that's only $0.3. So that is why it makes a lot more sense for me to do delivery to the third party instead of doing it to my own app. And that is actually the biggest difference between us and Luckin Coffee.
Yep. As for like TaniHub, I mean the good thing about like there's a success story in China is that all the investors start coming and like asking, okay, so are you like the next Meichai? And then we just say, yeah, So like we get them interested. But basically, I think one thing that's different is like the payment the payment system in Indonesia and in China, and wallets are completely different. So in China, everything is more integrated. Yep. That's why Meichai can scale up much faster. So for example, what I mean is like for every buyer, they can pay the farmer directly to their WeChat Pay like wallet. And the farmer can use that wallet to pay for food or for pay the school tuition for their kids. Meanwhile, in Indonesia, these wallets don't go to like the kampungs. It's still like via bank transfer. So the farmers still, they still want everything in cash, because for them, even though we transfer to their bank account, they still have to drive 2 hours to the bank and then wait another 2 hours and then 2 hours back. So that's something that we're actually still waiting for, like OVO, GoPay or whatever, like to start expanding to the village areas, and then like I think that's the time when TaniHub can really scale fast, like Meichai. And about the comparison, yeah, almost. I think that the only same thing is just the mission to help the farmers get connected to the B2B buyers and eliminate all the middlemen, eliminate all the inefficiency. And yeah, it's just like local knowledge here is also like probably different, because I mean, people here, if you want to get the trust of the farmers, you have to speak their kind of local language and also know their customs. And there's a lot of relationship and community kind of personal touch to it to get their trust. I don't know in China about that part, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree. I think the maturity of the ecosystem, like unicorn players, is not there yet compared to the China market. So definitely the sort of like as the ecosystem as a whole matures, I think your companies will also grow along with that. Given the amount of time we have, but that was very insightful. Hope you guys enjoyed the talk. Thanks very much for your time. I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.